It's live now, I think.
Hey, all right, we're live. Welcome everybody to Hump Day Hangout. This is episode, if I remember correctly, 327. Today is the 17th of February, 2021. We got almost the whole crew here today. I think Hernan's got some traveling going on, so he may not be joining us. But we are going to go around, say hello to everybody, get some announcements out of the way, and then hop into your questions. So first is Chris. How you doing today, Chris?
Oh, doing good here today. Weather is absolutely crazy. Like one day is like warm, like almost spring. Next day windy, ice cold. I don't know. Right now it's again warm, so I'm happy. Things are good.
All right, fair enough. Marco, how's the weather with you?
It doesn't change, man. Wait, hang on. Let me go. Let me go to the window before too much light
It's too bright.
comes in and starts to blind. You've seen it. So look, I started this a year ago, almost to the day. It was sunny. It was warm. You've seen me in nothing but either a t-shirt or a sleeve shirt, a button-down shirt, every Wednesday for the past year, and it's always been what you see. This is what it is. And you asked me, Adam, but don't you get tired of that? And I'm like, oh, fuck no. Why would I get tired of it? Why would I want to be living in, for example, in Texas where the pipes are frozen, people are freezing, they have no electricity, they have no water. Like that I can have that if I just move to one of the places that our charity supports. Why would I want to live anywhere else? No. I'd rather have, like, if I'm gonna have no electricity, I'll take this weather. Thank you very much.
It's very rare that Texas has this kind of weather, though. So,
and I'll take it during the rainy season. Yeah, but I don't have to worry about rare weather. Rare here is 60 degrees. Rare here is 90. That's the fluctuation that we have, and you see it. It's sunny, and it's warm, and it's beautiful, and it's my fortress of solitude. We always talk about Pofu. This is where I want to be.
Very nice. Well, Bradley, how you doing on the East Coast today?
Good. Weather's decent here for now, but we're supposed to get 5 inches of snow tomorrow, so we'll see. But yeah, things are good, man.
All right. Well, wish you the best of luck, and everyone else. I'm not sure internationally what's going on, but I know if you're in the middle, probably 2/3 of the U.S., you got some nasty weather going on. So stay safe, stay warm.
So how is it your place?
It's about the same as it always is. A little cooler, but 50s and sunny. So that's a cold day here in the Bay Area. So can't complain. First of all, if you're watching, thank you for watching. Thanks for being here. If you're live, if you're catching the replay, that's great too. Drop us a comment if you're live, ask your questions. If you're watching the replay, you can also leave a comment there on the YouTube channel, and we'll get back to you if you got a question. But we encourage you to come live, and you can always do that at semanticmastery.com/HD questions. And that is where you can be sure that we will get to your question, provided we have enough time. We only got an hour, but generally we can get to it. And secondly, I wanted to say the question we get asked a lot for people who are new to Semantic Mastery, new to MGYB, new to Heavy Hitters Club. What should I do? Where should I start? And, we've got a few things we tell people depending on what you want, right? It's not a cookie cutter, but the general gist of this is, if you're not sure and you're not sure what the SEO Shield is, go to theseoshield.com. Start there. It's a free training about what the SEO Shield is, what it can do for you. Now, if you want to go beyond that in terms of SEO, you can get our step-by-step processes for getting SEO results with the battle plan. You can find out more about that at battleplan.semanticmastery.com. And if you're an agency owner or a consultant that wants to get more clients, you want to grow your revenue, and you want to scale your team, then you should head over to 2xyouragency.com, find out more over there. And then if you're ready to grow your digital marketing business, or maybe you got a brick and mortar, maybe you're helping someone else out, but you want to join an experienced community, then the mastermind is going to be the place for you. And you can join at mastermind.semanticmastery.com. Now, at the beginning of my little spiel here, I mentioned MGYB, and I don't just blow past that. But a lot of times people ask us, okay, this is great. I've got the training. I want to run faster. What do you guys do? We order from MGYB. Yesterday, I placed an order for an SOE Shield. I'll have to come up with something, but an SEO Shield. And this is the stuff we use. I didn't come up with the SEO Shield, but collectively, these are the products we use, right? Whether it's Marco, whether it's Bradley, Rob, coming up with this stuff, and we're implementing and using the stuff that we have at MGYB and Semantic Mastery. And so we tell people, hey, when you get to the point where it makes sense, you have money now and less time, start getting this stuff done for you. You can hire a VA and learn, put them through the courses and teach them how to do it. Or you can go to MGYB and just say, hey, build it for me. I want it done right the first time, and do it that way. We're not saying one's better than the other. It's two different ways of doing it. But if you haven't checked out mgyb.co, head over there. Hop on the email list. If nothing else, we got some fantastic deals going on, especially around the holidays, and we do send out a lot of really good information. And last but certainly
actually,
not,
what I'd like to say about that is even if you hire a VA and your VA isn't going to be put through all the courses, then have your VA learn the ordering process or learn the processes so that you can just tell your VA, okay, so we need an SEO Shield. They know, they go to MGYB. Well, now we need link building. They go. Now we need some press releases, and they go. Because that time that you spend going in and doing that and the ordering process, you could spend prospecting, growing your agency, getting more results for your clients, putting your VAs through even more of your processes, systematizing. There's a lot more that your VA can do other than learning. Because I mean, just the keyword research, I can tell you, takes a long time to learn because they have to go through SEO bootcamp. They have to go through all of the software that we use to do the keyword research, then filtering it, then finding out, okay, so what would work in my categories? What's a possible push? And then to turn that into something manageable so that you can approach it that way, okay? So that's how that works. That's how we do that. I don't recommend anyone, not a VA and not of course a business owner, to do all of this on their own. You have to have a process. You have to have a system. We go a long way in that we save you all of that time that would take to actually build it out, because that takes a lot of time also, right? So it's just a time saver, being able to have a place to go and order rather than having to do the fulfillment yourself.
Definitely. And I think Marco touched on something really important there. That the keyword research is just one example out of many. That would take you 3-4 days if you know the process. And so you talk about the time saving with a project where that's one piece, whether you're building a new website for yourself, a client, a project, you're putting together an SEO Shield, again, yourself or MGYB. The amount of time that goes into this is irreplaceable. And, you know, we understand, and I mean, I speak for myself, but I know these guys, most of them, I know enough of your story where, you know, we got started, you know, kind of bootstrapping. I don't think any of us were funded as consultants or getting started into this. And so you start out, you got more time, you try to do some of this yourself, but over time you become the bottleneck. So start either training a VA, ordering from MGYB, you know, find the best place out there and get it done and save yourself time so you can grow and get to a point where, you know, whatever your POFU is, maybe you scale a big ass agency, or maybe you work part-time and chill half of the time. So whatever that is for you. So with that said, you guys, Marco, I know you posted on the page. Is there anything people need to know about the charity webinars?
We're doing the 5th one on Monday, right? It's the one that where we're going to tie everything together, because we've had people talk about, of course, Bradley, PPC and running ads for the entity and the brand. We had Jordan come in and talk about the branding bridge and how to approach your entity through branding, through marketing, and that whole approach. We had Dixon Jones showing how to do content, right? How entities exist in your content and how to approach your entity from that aspect of SEO. Then we had Brian Caddo do images. So because there are entities, of course, in images, and you can approach your SEO that way. So you have all of these different approaches. So how does this all get put together in a way that you can systematically just take down just about any niche? And before someone asks, no, you cannot go after Amazon for the keyword Amazon unless you have millions and millions of dollars. No, you cannot go after Google. Many have tried and failed. You can, no, all right? You better have the deep pockets, the investors, and the right way, the right idea before you take on a giant like that. But that doesn't mean that in a vertical, you can't take this system and this approach. And for example, like we're doing in pet food, doesn't mean that you can't go after pet food. And if you approach it the right way, that you can't rank for it, because yes, you can, and very well. The home services industry, whether it's plumber, HVAC, electrician, whatever it is, it's there to be had, especially when it's approached the right way, when you have the right mindset, because it's also knowing and understanding how it is that we approach all these things. And so you have all of this information, but it has to be tied together, which is what we'll be doing on Monday. So not only, if you make a donation, not only will you get access to Monday's webinar, you will also get access to all of the previous webinars, because they're all recorded and they're all uploaded for people to see.
Nice. All right. And if you're live, instructions link is on there if you need it. So anything else, you guys, before we get started? All right, let's do it.
Make sure. Okay, yeah. Sorry. I didn't refresh the page, and I was still looking at last week's webinar on the page. I was like, wait a minute, shit. All right, let me get the screen. You guys are seeing my screen, correct?
Good to go.
Yep.
All right, so where are we? How come I don't see the days and times?
Yeah,
Shit.
that's interesting. They must have updated something, but you can go up. My comment is probably the last one, so scroll back down a little bit.
Chaz B has the first comment. Mr. Benner. Keep
So
going.
that one?
Keep going.
Yeah.
After Adam.
After Adam.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Right there.
Cool.
That's weird. They took the days and times off there. I wonder if it's just a temporary thing. Anyway. Chaz says, Mr. B, you mentioned you were still using Browseo. I know the creator is launching or has already a new version called Chameleon. Just heads up if you didn't know. Yeah, thanks, Chaz. I know that. I've got it. It's called Chameleon Mode, and it sucks. Like, honestly, I'm still using Browseo. I've got, I still use Browseo for my stuff, and it works as long as you only right-click a profile and use System Chrome. That's what you have to use, and then it opens up Chrome, but it's its own instance of Chrome for that particular profile, and that still works. But all the other stuff, well, I really only use for the browser function anyways. Like, you can't use Firefox in Browseo anymore at all, because it's broken basically. And Chameleon Mode just sucks. I'm sorry to say that, because I'm still using Browseo. Part of the reason why I haven't moved it over to like Ghost Browser or something else. There's another one called Session Box. That one looks to be even better priced than Ghost Browser. It's called sessionbox.io, I think it is. But that's probably the one that I'll end up trying eventually whenever I have more time to move all my profiles from Browseo into something else. Just right now, I don't feel like taking the time to do it because it's not a priority. As long as it's still working with System Chrome, that's fine. The Chameleon Mode, though, I've got access to that because I've got a lifetime access to Browseo, and I logged into it and I can't figure out how to use it. It's clunky. Like I said, I don't like it. So anyway, and he'd been talking about updating that for well over a year and finally rolled out the beta version of it, and I don't like it at all. So anyway, moving on. Thanks, though, for the heads up. I appreciate that. Next question says, hey, guys, my question is related to the instant push for the post, which was just published. Is related to the instant push for the post, which was just, okay. My website belongs to a niche where frequency of post is way higher than the normal blogging. We typically do 4 to 5 posts every day. It is not possible to do the link building for each individual post. Oh, okay. Now I see where you're going. And that also takes time. How do you push the instant power to just publish blog? I have a Syndication Network and SEO Shield in place. How to push more authority and power to all the posts on a money site? Thanks in advance. Well, you could set up an app, an applet, an IFTTT, or Zapier, or something that will take your post URLs and add them to a Google Sheet, right? So it would automate your RSS, like any of your posts, which will update your RSS feed, can send the link to the new post to a Google Sheet. And if you add that Google Sheet to like your Drive Stack profile, for example, into one of your public Drive folders, then that sheet will be public, which means you can use that sheet to build links to it, right? You can build links to that sheet, which will automatically power up your posts. Now, if you've got multiple categories that you're posting from and you want to get more granular with it, then I would set up a separate sheet for each category and set up category RSS feeds to feed the Google Sheet instead of doing just your overall general RSS feed, where you could be mixing all different types of content, post types, into the same sheet. So if you've got silos on your site and you're publishing content in the specific silos or categories, then you grab the category RSS feed and set up a separate Google sheet for each feed, each category feed. That way you can hammer that specific Google sheet with the correct sort of links and anchor text profiles specific to that topic. Does that make sense? So that's something that you can do, and that's a real easy way to do it. When you're talking about that kind of publishing, frequency of publishing, then that's something that I would do. I would just set it up in an automated way. I like to do it more manually because we don't publish near as much as that. Most of my clients will get 2, maybe 3 blog posts a week, and that's tops. And so once we flesh out a silo and we complete our link wheel within the silo, we extract the URLs from the posts and then set everything up in the GSite. And then just all that's kind of a manual process anyway. So that all those URLs just go into a target URL file that we upload to MGYB for link building, if that makes sense. So a G Sheet is a way to automate it, and that's how I would do it if I wasn't going to like mirror all of the posts into the GSite, which in your case I certainly wouldn't do that. But in my case, for what we do, it's that's a good strategy. So anybody want to comment on that?
Join the heavy hitter club. That's where we have the magic.
Okay, Frogger, nice. He says, "Hey guys, as a starting SEO agency, what's the quickest, cheapest thing we can implement to start getting our pipeline of leads making sales calls aside from ranking location pages? We can implement to start getting our pipeline of leads making sales call aside from." So I'm not sure I understand that question. The first way I interpret it would be what's the quickest way you can start getting leads for your agency? I think that's what you're asking. And I found I'm working on a very specific strategy. I can't reveal it 100% here, but I'm using High Level, which is the agency platform, agency dashboard, essentially does a whole bunch of automations and things like that. It's amazing. Go to semanticmastery.com/high-level. If you want to see, you get a 14-day free trial. You're probably already aware of it. If you're not, go check it out. It's a 14-day free trial. And if all you're doing is using High Level for your own agency for prospecting, you can do that with one seat. So it's $97 a month, right? And you set up your agency in there, and then you can use that for prospecting. And I've been using that for prospecting now since about September of last year. And it works really, really well. At first, I was doing it just to find lead buyers for my own lead gen assets. But now, just on Monday of this week, I just started for my new agency. I just launched a new agency. And I've started using, I'm using High Level for prospecting for that with a very specific method, but it's working incredibly well already. So I'm going to be talking about that in the mastermind, but not outside of the mastermind, at least not yet. But High Level is a great way to automate that kind of outreach and things, because what I'm doing is cold email outreach as well as voicemail, voicemail drops. And that's what I'm doing to start with. However, I know there's, depending on which industry you're targeting, unless you're just a general marketing agency, which means you'll work with any industry. LinkedIn can also be a really good source. I've not been real successful at getting leads from LinkedIn because I never stuck with it that long to really get good at it. But I know that LinkedIn can be a really good source, and there's a lot of really good automation tools that weren't around when I used to attempt a lot more LinkedIn stuff. So that is on my schedule to start doing probably within the next 2 weeks. In fact, I'm going on a webinar on Friday for there's an AppSumo deal right now for a LinkedIn tool. And they've got a webinar on Friday. It's like $50 for a lifetime account for this AppSumo deal for this LinkedIn prospecting tool. So I'm going to go check out the webinar on Friday so I can see if it's something that I want to use, but I'll probably be doing that as well. So that would be mine. My suggestions would be, cold email still works, guys, if you do it right. Voicemail drops, you got to be careful. There are certain states and things like that. There are certain laws now that you have to be careful with. Direct mail works. The hard part with direct mail, though, is getting, at least in the industry that I worked in with tree contractors, is a lot of times when I send direct mail, because I do that, I get a lot of it returned. So it means that physical address that was associated with the company was incorrect. So you got to be careful with that. If you're going to do direct mail, make sure it's a current list that has some sort of filtering or cleaning capability. But those three things are the ones that I feel like are the best that I have personal experience with. And then, like I said, LinkedIn is going to be next on my list. Anybody else?
Yep.
Looks like we lost Marco too, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. What can we implement to start getting our pipeline of leads making sales calls aside from ranking location pages? Yeah, so I'm not sure if I didn't interpret that question correctly, then please restate it below with a little bit more clarity, and I'll try to get back to it. Nicholas says, hey guys, with future tech like blockchain, decentralized tech, and AI, where do you see SEO going? Also, what's some creative ways to quickly benefit from iframes to our website? Well, Marco would be the perfect one to answer all of those. And unfortunately, he's not here. Adam, you're doing a lot with AI stuff right now. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I'm just thinking. So with future tech like blockchain, decentralized tech, and AI, where do you see SEO going? I don't know. Yeah, I can only speak to the side of this. I'll just speak to the stuff I know. I'll let you connect the dots on the SEO side, both Bradley, Chris, and then whoever else is watching. But right now where we're at is that this is really helping speed up testing a lot. So like the one I've used is product descriptions. So I went in, besides MGYB, I'm part owner of another little e-commerce store, and I also help clients with e-commerce, both on the funnel and on the email marketing side. Long story short, though, one of the boring things that has a big impact is the product pages, like improving the title of your product, improving the product description, and a couple other things on the page there. And writing product descriptions is really friggin' boring, but it's really important. And so a lot of these tools now, you can put in a few words about your product and it'll write a great product description. Yeah, like conversion.ai. And so coming in and using that will let you not only get past that hurdle of like either having to hire someone and hoping that they know what the hell they're doing it yourself, or not having enough variations. So you can really get to the testing. So I think it was I don't have the quote in front of me and I apologize, but they're the CEO or founder of VWO, was talking about this, and where we're at right now is that this is going to just speed up testing. And so I look at it the same way from an SEO point of view. If you can come up with all of this content that you can test, you no longer have to really come up with it yourself. You just need to know that there's tools available that will allow you to do this. And then the next step is going to be tools that do the testing, integrating this type of stuff, where there's a tool I use right now. And I was talking to the founder on a call about some other stuff. And I had said, hey, if you guys played around with these writing tools? And he's like, yeah, that's the next step. He's like, our tool helps you speed up the testing process for things on page, like a title or a description or whatever it is. And I said, but now we want to integrate with these tools that do the writing. So you can say, I want to test this title, and that's it. It's done. It tests the title for you. It runs through, how many ever options you give it, and it does the writing for you. Now I assume there will still be some human interaction, but that speed to testing is, I think, going to be crucial from the SEO side, where you're getting traffic to a place, whatever it is, a website, a YouTube channel, and being able to test all of these different kind of permutations. And it's going to become easier both for the little guy to do this testing, but it's kind of more of the same and yet different. These tools will trickle down and be available to someone for free or very low cost. But at the same time, that human time spent maybe monitoring results and seeing what they really mean, that's where the real value is going to be, I think, on a lot of the content side of things. So long story short, we got a lot of cool tools we can use for testing right now. And if you're not aware of them, I would spend half an hour just familiarizing yourself with some of these tools. Like Bradley showed one, the conversion.ai, and just sign up for a free trial if they have one. I don't know, but there's tons of tools, Copysmith, snazzy.ai. Just go see what's capable right now. And I don't think you're going to be like, oh God, Skynet, the world's ending, but it is impressive to see. And I think you can connect the dots real quick in your head and see where this is going. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, Adam turned me on to this one just about a week ago, actually, that I signed up for. Haven't started using it yet, but this is conversion.ai, which I think is good for copy. Phrase.io. This is good for tuning content for search. similar to, I think, what is it? Page Optimizer Pro and Surfer SEO and Inlinks and that kind of, I mean, this was probably more basic than a lot of those other ones, but it's good for optimizing content. And I think that's where a lot of, at least in my opinion, you know, Mark is the one that does a lot more with AI stuff. He's more plugged into that stuff than I am, but I think there's going to be a lot of tools to help auto optimize things. You know, we're already seeing the content optimization tools and content producing tools or generating tools that are using AI. But I think, you know, for example, in Google Ads, I do a lot of stuff with Google Ads. They're using AI and machine learning in ads now, like to set up automated bidding strategies, right? You can opt to use machine learning and AI and Google Ads to auto optimize your ads. And I don't do that up front, but once I have proven certain, you know, audiences and ads that are working well, then I will turn on automated bidding strategies or duplicate a campaign, but set that campaign using automated bidding strategies instead of manual bidding, and allow it to, you know, I'll split test against my own optimization and ads to what I'm letting Google optimize for me, and start to see. And more often than not, as long as I have at least proven a good ads campaign with a proper audience, then once I move that over to test automating bidding strategies in Google, more often than not, so more than half the time, Google's AI and, you know, automated bidding strategies end up outperforming what I was able to do on my own. So it's been great because it's been able to improve, like where I've been able to get my ads to a certain spot, and then once I get them to that point, I put it into Google. You know, let Google take over. And it, like I said, more often than not, so more than half the time, it ends up outperforming what I was able to do on my own. So not always the case, but more often than not. So I see that as something else that could be potentially coming into more SEO stuff as well, would be like auto optimizing website, right? For example, like conversion optimization. I can see sometime in the near future that pages will auto, like, you know, split test pages on their own and change elements of the page and layouts of the page and things like that to determine which are the highest converting rates, like which to optimize for conversions. And I could see that as something that's coming, right? So that we
It's
could
already out, man.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's going to become the status quo, you know, in the next few years. I think that because right now it's like, if I had a WordPress website, I agree. I know it's out there, Chris, but it'd be like, how do I do that? Where do I do that?
Yeah, I mean, like make it mainstream.
I'm using a mainstream tool, but I'm not allowed to talk about it. So
well, it can't be mainstream if you're not allowed to talk about it. Then
well, I had to send an
mainstream
NDA,
tool, but I can't tell anybody.
I think that.
Well, I can share it in Semantic Mastery, but like as I said, like I cannot say
Yeah.
anything on the public thing.
Well, there's some, Bradley, I'm glad you brought up phrase. I think that is the other side right now where you can get a lot of mileage out of this, where instead of you writing the content brief, that, you know, this also goes back to the process. And since parts of this are being automated now, like you can go into phrase, type in a keyword and have it auto generate a content brief for you. Mm-hmm. And is it going to be perfect? To me, no, but it's a start and it's a process, which, I mean, I'm guilty of this too, where it's like, oh, I need an article for this. Well, I'll just kind of outline it. And inevitably, I'm not doing the same thing each time. So like these tools to me really help. You know, if I have to hand it off, I can say, okay, here's the process. You go in here, you click these buttons, you do a manual review, take this stuff out, and then hand it off to a writer, for example, instead of just being like, okay, well, this is the article I'm looking for this time, you know? So I think those tools, like you said, Bradley, are going to become even better, and they're already pretty freaking good.
Yeah. And that's a good point that you made about that. Cause you know, I still order a lot of content from writers, and sometimes I'll need a piece of content for something, and you know, I'll be staring at the order submission screen and like I draw a blank, like what the hell should I, you know, how do I describe what I need? And so what he just said about a content brief is a good point, because I can go to phrase now and type in a query or put in a keyword or something and hit go, and it will spit out a content brief, and that'll like seed the idea for the content that I need. As opposed to me having to come up with something. So it does definitely save time. And that's kind of where I see things going with AI. What's some quick ways to benefit from iframes to our website? Well, I mean, we talk about all that stuff with theme mirroring and using the GSite and everything else. If you're not familiar with what we talk about with iframe stacking and all that, that's taught in Heavy Hitter Club, Semantic Mastery Mastermind, as well as RYS Academy. However, you know, you can go through our YouTube channel and get lots of high-level overviews of what theme mirroring is and how we do it using the GSite and the drive stacks and everything else that we do too, right? So siloing GMB posts, siloing press releases. We mirror the same silo structure from your website onto everything that you do. And the way that you stack and interlink content should all be consistent as well. And so, you know, one of the quickest things, best things you can do is iframe your website into corresponding pages on the GSite that are mirrored, right? So a one-to-one relationship or one-to-one ratio from your primary pages on your website to your primary pages on your GSite, right? You want to duplicate your primary pages from your website into your GSite. And when I say that, you don't need to copy and paste content. All I do is duplicate the pages on the GSite. So create an inner page on the GSite to match my inner pages of my main site. And then I just iframe the money site into the GSite. There's your content. You don't need to go through all the copy and paste and everything, because Google will read the content from your money page through the GSite, the iframe on the GSite. And so that becomes the content for the page. And then we talk about stacking different pieces of content together that are relevant. I talk about that many times in Hump Day Hangouts. Again, you can just go to our YouTube channel. So youtube.com/semantic mastery, then go to the channel search feature and just search that kind of stuff out, like theme mirroring, iframes, GSites or stacking, iframe stacking, all that kind of stuff, and just start going through, because we got a ton of information in there about how to do it. But then you just hammer your GSite with backlinks, and then you can power up your money site page without actually physically directly linking to your money site. And that's how we've been doing it for years now. And it just works incredibly well. So hopefully that makes some sense. BB's up with many questions as usual. What's up, BB? He says, hey guys, what is better, to start a GMB and then start a GSite slash website, or backwards, a site and then a GMB, or parallelly, that's a hard word to say, or start search ads and then organic viewing? Okay, well, there's a couple of things here, BB. If you don't know the industry, then I would highly recommend that you start with ads, the keywords that drive traffic and conversions. It's not just about traffic, because you might, you know, I made the mistake years ago. I just didn't do ads for a very, very long time at all. And I would always just start with SEO, and in part because it was really easy to rank, but you know, it's become more complex and more difficult. There's no question. And so if I'm going into it, which I don't like to go into any new industries now, I like to just stick with what I know. But if I was to go into a new industry, then what I would do is set up a Google Ads campaign first to figure out which keywords are going to produce not just traffic and clicks, but conversions, right? That's the optimum goal, is conversions. So if you just look at keyword tools and look at search volume, that doesn't tell you the whole picture, right? That it only gives you part of the story. Am I still live, guys? I see the page doing some weird stuff.
You look, I think you're good. Let me check the page.
Okay. It was doing some refreshing or some weird shit. Anyway, so what I'm saying is, if you go just look at search volume and stuff and think that you're going to optimize for keywords based upon search metrics, right? Search numbers, search volume numbers, then you could end up spending time, money, and effort creating content and trying to rank for keywords that might produce a lot of traffic, but they just don't convert, or they don't have buyer intent or whatever. And so what I like to do is spend money up front, which, by the way, when you first start running ad campaigns, even if it's not like Google search ads, you're going to spend a lot of money depending on what it is. But for local stuff, I mean, clicks can be super expensive. But even YouTube and things like that, like the way I look at it is, any new ad campaign for Google Ads specifically, it's like the first 30 days, you should really just assume that you're just buying data, right? Like it's rare that I start a new ads campaign in a new industry that I've not ever done any testing in and get immediate results, like positive ROI, right? Like it's very rare. It's usually I'm going to lose money up front, but once I have enough data, then I can start to optimize where I see the most opportunity, stop spending money on ads or keywords or creatives or whatever that aren't really relevant or aren't producing, redirect those funds into what was producing, and then start optimizing those producing campaigns to optimize them even more so that they perform even better. And so I just look at using ads up front when it's a new industry. If it's a new topic, new industry, whatever, I look at, okay, I'm going to spend money on buying data first. Once I have that data, then I'm going to start to optimize my campaigns to put that budget to good use to start turning a profit, right? Or making a return on investment. And then from there, I continue to optimize. So my first strategy would be, if I don't know an industry, I'd start with Google Ads to figure out what those keywords are, the ones that are going to produce traffic, but also convert. And then I would start optimizing content for that, right? So start the SEO process, which would be building the, getting content written, optimizing for that, and all the other stuff that we do. If I already know the industry, then, I use, I still use ads usually to jumpstart a campaign, but I'll go right for the keywords and everything that I already know to be effective and to be what people use. And what I love about the tree service industry is there's really only 5 keywords that drive all the, 90% of all traffic is driven from 5 keywords. So it's beautiful because I can optimize for those 5. I don't need to continually do keyword research and all that other shit, As far as whether I would do GMB first or website build first, it doesn't matter. I mean, I like to go with well, it depends, right? Again, it depends. Always, it depends. If you have a real business that can be verified, it's not a spammed GMB listing, then there's no reason that you can't start with the GMB or just do both in parallel, right? The GMB as well as the website and everything else. If you're dealing with a spammed GMB listing, then I recommend that you get the website set up first with the brand name, the domain that's going to be associated with the GMB. You get structure, you get as much detail on the page as possible. Like, you don't have to have a full-on built-out website, but I mean the home page on the root domain for that project should have something that's relevant. It should have the company name, the contact information that's going to be used with the GMB. So name, address, phone number, structured data at the very minimum, organization schema. If you're going to do it, if it's for local business, which GMBs are supposed to be for local business, then put local business schema on the page, and then go try to claim and verify the GMB, right? Or to associate the GMB with the website, if that makes sense. So it depends. If it's a valid business, then it doesn't mean you can start with the GMB or run both parallel. That's typically how I will do it. But if it's a spam GMB, then I try to get the web asset set up first before trying to associate the GMB with it or get the GMB if I'm starting from scratch, so that it has a reference point that Google can see that has some validity to it, right? So for example, not just have the domain, but I just kind of figured out a trick earlier this week. Well, let's just say have the domain registered. You might want to use something like GSuite or Google Workspaces for your email for that domain, because that means you're paying Google for that domain, right? Like now you have a paid account with Google that is associated with that domain, so that when you try to tie the GMB to that domain, there is some validation there that it's not spam because you've got a paid account. Remember, Google Workspaces, guys, if you go with a basic workspace account, formerly G Suite, it's $6 a month. So don't be cheap. Spend $6 a month and have that additional verification or validation for that. Less likely to be spam, if that makes sense. Okay. It's a good question, though. Next question. Are GSA links also Web 2.0 contextual links? Some of them are, but some are not. Web 2.0 contextual links are meaning like blogger type, blogging type platforms that allow you to post articles and blog posts, publish, text-based content. I mean, it can have images and media and stuff in it, but like blog style posts. Contextual link means a link within content. That's why it's called a contextual link, right? So that, GSA can have all kinds of crap stuff in there, though. That's why we only recommend GSA out at like 3rd or 4th tier. That's what I call GSA links kitchen sink spam, right? Throw everything at it but the kitchen sink. Well, this is the kitchen sink. So we've been calling it kitchen sink spam for years, but that's what GSA does. Now, some people that are super skilled with GSA know how to use it for just at Web 2.0 blogs and all that. That's great. I don't know how to use any of them damn tools because I I've always had a link building guy that do it for us, or the same one that does it for MGYB. So I don't know how to use all them tools, and I really don't care. All I'm saying is, if you're going to use GSA links, they're more than just contextual Web 2.0. Some of those can be mixed in. There's no question. Those are some of the platforms. But GSA is a known spamming tool, so a lot of the platforms that it will connect with are, forums and all different kinds of stuff. So just remember, Web 2.0 typically means like blogging type sites, right? And contextual links are links within the content body of a post or an article. So they're more powerful because they're contextual, meaning the link can benefit from the context that it's in, right? The context that it's buried within. So there's associations that can be made with the content and the keywords and everything else. So that's what a contextual link is. Why do you recommend to buy first and tier Web 2 contextual links and third and fourth to buy GSA links? For exactly what I just said. You get a lot more power out of a contextual link because Google can understand the relevancy from the keyword theme, the keyword set, all of that's on the page. And that is a contextual link is more powerful and safer than a lot of these other types of links, if that makes sense. So I only recommend building first and second tier Web 2.0 contextual links because that's what our link builder has been telling us to do. Whatever he tells us to do is what we do, if that makes sense. Which, BB, you could always post in the free Facebook group and tag Dedia on a question, questions about that. And now in the free group, I don't know how much you get into, how deep he'd get into his answers, but definitely in some of our paid groups, other people ask questions about link building stuff, and he's a wealth of information about that. He's really skilled. So, do you have a service of closing lead gen clients? I'm not sure what that means, BB. Do I have a service for closing lead gen clients, or I'm not sure I understand the question, but if that's what you're asking, do I have a service for closing lead gen clients? I mean, I do that in-house. I still do all my own sales. Although my new agency that I just launched on Monday, I'll talk about it more later, another time. But that I fully plan on hiring a full-time salesperson, but not. I mean, I've got to get some revenue in that agency first. But that is one of my top priorities is to hire a salesperson, right? So, but no, I still do all the closing myself. So I mentioned this at the beginning of today's webinar. I use High Level. Again, check it out, semanticmastery.com/high level. You got a 14-day free trial. If you're only doing it for prospecting and sales for your own agency, you only need one seat. So you don't need the agency level account or all that other stuff. I used just the $97 a month High Level account for my own stuff for many, many months. Now I'm on what's called a High Level Pro. It's $500 a month, but that's for a very specific reason. Anyway, yeah, I mean, I just do exactly what I said at the beginning of this, which is I do cold emails, direct mail, and voicemail drops right now is my three primary methods for prospecting. And then once a conversation gets started, which is, for me, that's the primary objective for the prospecting campaigns, is to just get a conversation started. The hardest thing that I have found when you're trying to sell marketing services is getting a conversation started, because as soon as a prospect, a business owner, thinks that it's a solicitation call, they put up their defenses and the conversation tanks immediately, right? It goes downhill right off the bat because they smell a sale coming. And so, I found over the years, the best way to get a conversation started, once I get a conversation started, if I can get a conversation started, then I can typically do fairly well. So for me, when it comes to lead gen stuff, like selling leads, then what I often do is we'll approach a contractor about, asking them questions about what they're, if they are accepting new jobs in a particular area or whatever, and then once they reply back, then I'll send them, basically and I've talked about this in video lead gen system, guys, but for lead gen stuff, I'll say, hey, are you doing jobs in, whatever city? If they reply back, and I'll say, okay, well, I've got several jobs that need to be completed. It's kind of hard to explain though. Can I send you a video showing you what I've got? And so essentially asking, and it's whether this is email or SMS, it doesn't matter. It's either way. But once I get their permission, when they reply back and say, sure, go ahead, or yes, some sort of positive intent reply, which by the way, all this can be automated in High Level, right? Because they have intent triggers and all, like, so like essentially if somebody replied back with yes or sure, go ahead, send it, you know, anything like that with a positive intent, then the automation will send them back another email or an SMS, depending on which medium we were, like, you know, which platform we were using, communication channel we were using. And it'll send them back with a link to a landing page where it'll show like, hey, I've got leads in this area right now, and I'd like to give you 3 of them for free. Or right now I'm doing 5 for free. So I say 5 leads for free. If you're interested, just fill out the form below, which is a very simple contact form. And then they fill out that contact form and it notifies me that I've got a new form submission. And then I call them to follow up, say, hey, okay, great. Let me just confirm your service area, what type of jobs you're looking for. And I'm going to enter you into my system and I'll send you 5 leads. At the end of those 5 leads, I'm going to follow up with you to find out if you want to continue working together. That's how I do it for leads. Doing something similar for clients, which I'm trying to take clients on for my new agency stuff, but it works really, really well. And here's the thing, like I said, I've set up this funnel, and I talked about this in POFU Live last year for 2020. And all of what I just talked about is explicitly laid out in the POFU Live recordings, which are still available. So if you want this exact method, then go buy the POFU Live 2020 recordings and you'll see exactly how I built this in high level and exactly what I'm doing, my messaging and everything. Okay. But it works really well. And here's what I've learned though, is I'd set up all these automations and everything to try to get potential lead buyers to go through that funnel to where I would only, you know, basically they would get entered into my lead distribution system, which I'm using Lead Simplify, Mike Martin's Lead Simplify. That's what I use for lead distribution and everything. And I had set everything up hoping to get people to go through all that funnel, like to where it would be automated until they had signed up, and then I would call them. That's not how it works. Unfortunately, you know, the prospecting machine works really well, but I've only had 3 people since I started in September actually go through the full funnel process and book a call with me and all that other stuff. Generally what happens, like almost always what happens, is they'll start through that funnel sequence, like all the automations. And at some point the conversation gets transferred to me because, you know, they ask a question or something that the automation can't handle. And so I end up having to jump into the conversation and taking it from there, which is, it's fine because at least they're intrigued at that point. They're interested. And so that's the hardest part, as I mentioned before, was getting the conversation started. Well, at this point, the conversation has been started through an automated fashion, right? Through automation, it's been started. And then I take over from there and jump into the conversation where appropriate and then take it from there. And it's been so much easier that way for me. And at first, like I said, when I set all that up, I was hoping to get people to go all the way through the automations without having personal contact with me. But then after I realized that I was going to have to take, you know, jump into the conversation before most people would go all the way through the funnel, I've realized now that I don't even wait. Like as soon as they reply back to the front end of the campaign, especially because all I'm dealing with is tree guys now and landscaping contractors, is I just jump on the phone with them immediately. Like as soon as I see that they've engaged with my sequencing, my messaging, my automation, then I jump right in and just take over. And I'll pick up the phone and call in a heartbeat now and just and jump on the phone with them and try it, because it shortcuts the process for me and I get to a sale quicker, if that makes sense. So the automations and all are great. And for those that make it all the way through, it's fantastic, but it's so rare that I use all of that automation just to get the conversation started. Kind of, it eliminates those people that aren't interested. Those that are going to ask questions, and then I can jump in and take over the conversation at that point and steer the conversation in the right direction. So anyway, hopefully that made some sense. Walt says dates and times and questions work fine on my Mac. Yeah, I know, Walt. You keep pushing your Mac stuff, but you're not going to sell me on it. Keep trying though, buddy.
Conspiracy.
Keep trying. We're almost done, guys. We're going to run out of questions anyway. So Jim says, is there an ideal depth for iframe stack loops? Is there any more benefit achieved from going 1,000 deep versus 10 deep on the iframes? Is this something I haven't tested very thoroughly. Thanks, gang. Again, Marco would have to answer that. I don't know. I know some of our mastermind members have done some really nasty stuff with iframes to the point where if you open up a page on in your browser, it will literally lock your whole computer up because it just takes all the cache and memory and just locks it up. and I've done it. Like I've had to literally hard reset my computer, reboot my computer by holding the power button down because an iframe locked the whole damn PC up. and I've seen that happen on several occasions. So I typically don't try going that deep, but I know some of our mastermind members have. Unfortunately, Marco's not here to answer your questions. So perhaps you could repost that, Jim, next week, and Marco will be back, hopefully, to answer it then. So, okay, last question, guys, and then we're going to wrap it up a little bit early, which is fine. This says, how will the Google Privacy Sandbox affect SEO and ads, and what is your take on the upcoming changes? You know, I don't know yet. As far as the, if you're talking about like, because of like privacy concerns with audience targeting and interest-based targeting and stuff like that, I don't think that that's going to affect Google as much as it has Facebook. Facebook, you're already starting to see, and I don't do Facebook ads, okay, but I know enough people, obviously, that I'm colleagues and such that do, to know that Facebook is already experiencing a lot of problems with ads and stuff because of their privacy concerns. And what Apple, I guess, now stopped reporting back to Facebook, which was a huge hit to them. John Belcher, I think his name is. He's got a great, let me see if I can pull this up, because this is something you should, I think it's John T. Belcher. The Death of Pixels, I think is the name of the, yeah, right there. Okay, so this guy's, I would go check this out. He's got a free course. This might actually, yeah, it looks like I'm still logged into this course because I started going through the training. It's a free course called The Death of Pixels. Let me see if this is the share URL, because it's probably not. Yeah, it is. Okay, cool. I'm going to copy that and paste it on the page. So if you go through that, you know, it makes a lot of sense. A lot of it has to do with attribution. If you do what they call server to server attribution and set all that kind of tracking up, conversion tracking and everything up, then you can still have the sort of audiences and, you know, interest-based and behavioral-based targeting and all that kind of stuff that you've probably grown used to. But you have to set that stuff up on your side, and you have to be real careful about like how you handle the data and all that kind of stuff. Because you know, you can get in trouble if you don't do it correctly and all that kind of stuff. So I would highly encourage you to go check that out. As I was saying, I think it's more affecting like Facebook now than it is Google. I don't even know if it's affecting Google, to be honest with you, this kind of stuff. So
it does, Bradley. That's why he asked for the Google Privacy Sandbox. Like from what I know, they're pretty much doing the same on Chrome, like soon. What Apple did.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is with Tag Manager, it's like server to server conversion tracking. It's, you know, Facebook doesn't give that to you, but Google does through Tag Manager, is what I'm saying. So it's different. And also, if you're using Google Analytics 4,
that's not, because like Facebook has like conversions API, which is exactly the same as server to server tracking.
Okay. Well, again, I don't do Facebook ads, so I don't know any of that shit. But I know that there's a lot of people whining in Facebook about Facebook ads and how they're
we all know how this is and why this is. Like, it's pretty much pushed up by marketing people to sell you more stuff. And also there's like the war between Apple and Facebook. It's just like all the media that is pushing it. Like, reality is it's like almost no impact, in my opinion. Like, yeah, things change a bit how you're doing it, but you gotta realize all the big companies, they got the data already, right? So there is no law, or like there are no changes that they're gonna abandon the data. It's just a little bit of fresh data that they're getting into their systems is a bit restricted. And at the same time, they got your email addresses, they got all those things right now. Plus they got fingerprint matchups and an end that like I don't think many people are talking about. So
Sounds like you've got a course that you need to produce there, Chris.
Well, it depends if it pays well enough. Like right now, like it didn't have enough requests for anything, but that could be an option. Yeah, definitely.
Well, there you go. Next time you have a question about conversion tracking and privacies, address that one to Chris, and should be good to go then.
Sure thing. That's why I'm here.
All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up. Thanks everybody for being here.